Yes, good morning, everyone. Sorry for the... Sí.
Sorry, good afternoon, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. My name is Ricardo Moscoso, and I am the Deputy Permanent Representative of Panama to the UN, as well as Political Coordinator. It is a pleasure for us to brief you on the program of work for our presidency. Our permanent representative, Eloy Alfaro de Alba, will now be briefing you on the meetings for this month.
Now it's my turn. Good afternoon. Sorry for the small delay. It is an honor for me to be here today to present the Security Council's program of work for the month of August, which has just been adopted earlier this morning. Before I begin, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Ambassador Asim Iftikhar Ahmad and his team at the Permanent Mission of Pakistan for their excellent leadership during Pakistan's presidency of the Council during the month of July. The program of work has been adopted, as I have just mentioned, and will soon be available on the Council's official website. I understand that printed copies have already been distributed to those present here today. The Council is scheduled to hold a total of 22 meetings during the month for the time being, because as you well know, that tends to increase as the month progresses. Country-specific meetings will include briefings and consultations on situations that remain on the Council's agenda, including particularly West Africa and the Sahel, Yemen, Lebanon, South Sudan, and Syria, among others. Following a request by some Council members, an emergency meeting on the maintenance of international peace and security in Ukraine will be held today at 3 p.m. That was a last-minute request. On 11 August, Panama will be very pleased to convene its signature event, a high-level open debate titled Maritime Security, Prevention, Innovation, and International Cooperation to Address Emerging Challenges. We are following up on the President of Greece because we feel that this is an important matter that is of interest to many in the international community, and it is certainly a matter that is interesting to Panama. That session will be chaired by His Excellency José Raúl Mulino, President of the Republic of Panama, and will feature briefers from the International Maritime Organization, Mr. Valdesi Urquiza, the Secretary General of Interpol, and Mr. Ricaurte Vázquez, Chief Executive Officer of the Panama Canal Authority. The debate will focus on maritime security challenges from a global and multi-dimensional perspective, with particular attention to the links between maritime security, international peace, economic stability, and environmental sustainability.
So, we will now open the floor. Sorry. We will now open the floor for questions, and please kindly begin by stating your name and the media outlet you represent. We would like to start, however, with the president or a representative of the UN Correspondents Association.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. On behalf of the United Nations Correspondents Association, my name is Edith Lederer from the Associated Press, and let me start out saying that we hope that you will come out and talk to us often during this month. My question is twofold. First, in focusing on the Panama Canal, what is your aim in terms of possibly delivering a message to the United States? President Trump has made clear that he would like it back. And secondly, can you give us any indication of what might happen with a Haiti resolution? Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your question. It is a very, they're both very relevant and frankly, not unexpected. As you may know, I have some background in journalism, not because I pretend to be any kind of a journalist, because I am not, because I did have occasion to be president of an editorial group that publishes two newspapers in Panama, one of which is La Estrella de Panama, which is the oldest newspaper that is still being published in Panama, and one of the oldest in the entire Latin America. So I am very conscious to the interest of journalists, and I would be very, very pleased to come out as often as you think is necessary to meet with you and to share, to the degree that I'm able to share, information issuing from the Security Council. That holding the hat of President of the Council. One of your questions, which is the one in Haiti, has to do with, of course, with the Council, so I can probably answer that from that position as President of the Council during the month of August. And it's interesting that Haiti is not on the agenda of the Council because there are no mandated meetings during this month. However, it is an issue and a situation that is of concern to all Council members. And we feel, because it is also one of the few files of which the Security Council is seized, that belongs to this part of the world, very near to us. We are very, very sensitive to that situation. As we all know, the crisis in Haiti has been going on for a long time. It is a very complicated crisis that has to do with the political, economic, security aspects that make a solution very difficult. There is the issue of the MSS forces from Kenya particularly that are there, and what is the future of that effort is yet to be seen. The Council feels very much engaged in that situation, and even though it's not formally on the program of work, we do have the intention of holding a meeting or a briefing. We're still working on that, perhaps during the last week of our presidency. It's a very, very interesting for me, and it has been since I have been on the Council, to watch how that is being of enormous concern to the Council. It is not an easy, it doesn't have any easy solutions because of the complicated aspects that I have just mentioned. But we are very much aware of that. The Secretary General was asked to provide a position paper, so to speak, and his letter has already been issued for several months now. And we're all very conscious of the need to try to bring forward some sort of a solution to the situation that may, on the one hand, attend to the security problem, which is basically the starting point, so to speak, so that the political and the economic aspects may somehow proceed afterwards, because it's almost impossible to try and push forward a political development of a positive political situation, including elections, if there's no security. Those of us that have been in one way or another involved with elections, and those of you that may have covered them, know that it is very important to have security, because otherwise you can't have an electoral process that merits any type of credibility. So I think that we will be this morning during the breakfast at which I had the opportunity and the privilege to present the program of work to our fellow council members. Almost everyone spoke about Haiti. So it is very sensitive, and we're very much aware of the need to concentrate and try to find some sort of a solution to that problem. In the connection with your question regarding the Panama and the canal, I need to disengage from my position as president of the council and assume an attitude of the representative of Panama. And perhaps I would best begin by explaining, as I have done to my colleagues, that the purpose of having a high-level event concentrating on maritime security is not to bring any kind of message to any government. We preferred that subject, that concept, because we felt that it was a concept and an issue to which we could very easily relate and with which we could identify for a number of reasons. Panama, as you know, is bathed by two oceans. It was in the history, in historic terms, the window to the Pacific Ocean. I don't want to get into the debate of who had discovered the Pacific Ocean first, because, of course, that is a complicated debate, and it is unnecessary. But nevertheless, Panama opens and is very much open to the Pacific Ocean and to those countries that are very important in the Pacific. Some of them are far away, but they're nevertheless very important. The other issue, of course, is the canal, which has been serving world commerce and constructed by the United States. And Panama received a legacy from the United States in terms of canal operations, which we very proudly received and developed. I have to say, although it may sound presumptuous, with considerable success, we decided to engage in a program to expand the Panama Canal, which included basically constructing a new set of locks that could facilitate the transit of larger and longer and wider vessels, because the Panama Canal had already been a choke point, not because of security reasons, but because it simply was too small and to be able to service some of the vessels that were being constructed. That is what used to be called the Panama Canal size or whatever. And there was another choke point because it wasn't sufficient to service the number of vessels, the volume of vessels in terms of numbers that wanted to transit. So that Panama Canal expansion project was completed several years ago, and it has been operating very, very successfully. There are always some issues. For instance, the water supply. As you probably know, the Panama Canal is fed and operates on fresh water. And we knew from the beginning, when we engaged in this expansion project, that it would be necessary to provide another source of water supply, basically for the expanded city of Panama, which happened at the same time to increase demand because it became, we have more people in the expanded city of Panama than we intended to have when we started the expansion project. And even though we knew that it would be necessary to find some other sources of water, fresh water supply for human consumption, we also knew that we would require additional water supply for the operation of the canal. So that part has been somewhat delayed, and then the pandemic came, and a number of reasons. I don't want to provide justifications, but the government of Panama is very conscious, as well as the Panama Canal administration is very conscious of the need for additional water supply. So that's one of the things. But basically, the reason, in addition to, and of course, as you all know, we have a ship registration system that has been servicing world commerce for a number of years, and I think that it has benefited users from different parts of the world, with pluses and minuses and criticisms and whatnot. It is there, and it has provided a service to the world community. So there are a number of aspects related to Panama in terms of maritime activity that we thought would provide us with an opportunity to have Panama in a positive light, issuing from this particular situation in which we have the privilege to be a part of the Security Council, and in this particular month of August to preside the council. So basically, the idea is to highlight in a positive way the services that Panama provides to the world community and to users of its services in terms of the canal, in terms of the ship registration and the environmental aspects, so that we may bring to the attention of the international community those positive aspects. There is no intention in providing any message to any government, and those situations are being addressed bilaterally. So I think that it would be, those questions would better be addressed to other officials of the government of Panama that may have, that would be better situated to answer those questions. But there's no particular message intended. Yes.
Okay, there's a few hands up. I believe we can start over here, in the second row. Please state your name and the agency that you're representing.
Yeah, thank you. Amélie Bottolier from AFP News Agency. One of the issue on the agenda of the Council at the end of the month is the possibility of the renewal of the UNIFIL mission in Lebanon. There have been many reports that Israel and the United States don't want the mission anymore. So have there been already discussion within the Council on whether to renew it or to start reducing the force or even stopping it altogether? Thank you.
For some reason, it is not an unexpected question, but you're absolutely right. I think that is going to be one of the thorniest issues in the agenda of Security Council for the month. The reasoning that I have heard, and I don't want to make specific references to the position of any particular country, but the argument goes that that mission was intended to be temporary, and that it is perhaps in order to consider whether that temporariness should expire at some point. In other words, whether the mission should itself work to put itself out of a job. I think that is the discussion that we certainly will be having in the Council. I cannot predict what would happen. There are a number of Council members that have in advance expressed their position in support of the continuation of the mission. Of course, there are some that feel that perhaps the mission should seriously be considering efforts to place itself out of a job, but that is going to be. I'm afraid that I cannot advance an opinion as to what the result will be, because we'll have to wait out and see how that works. From my personal perspective, it would seem that regardless of how it goes one way or the other, at least sufficient time will have to be provided in whatever decision is made, even if it's to be dwindled down to provide an opportunity for that dwindling down without having that create negative effects.
Thank you. I saw some hands over here. We can start on the 3 hands over here and then one in the front. So with the gentleman with the blue shirt, you raise your hand first. And please state your name and your agency.
Thank you so much for this briefing. My name is Afram Kosaifi from Arab News Daily. I have a question on Gaza. It's a recurring question for the past 2 years whenever we have a presidency briefing. The Security Council has been paralyzed on the issue, no movement at all, and the situation keeps getting worse on the ground. Do you have any thoughts on how to maybe move the discussion a bit forward on that, to change the dynamics a little bit? And how do you think the momentum that we witnessed this week in New York during the Two-State Solution Summit can be used for that purpose? Thank you.
Yes, of course, that is another question that was not unexpected either. The issue of Gaza, and I can assure you, is on the mind of every member of the Council because of the well-known reasons that we're watching every day in the news media, morning, noon, and night, let alone informal media or otherwise. I think that you're right. The momentum is flowing so rapidly that I think that I can foresee that the Council will be engaged formally in events and in sessions to consider that problem. I think that the most important aspect, there are two different aspects of the problem. One is the humanitarian aspect. And the humanitarian crisis, which President Trump in the last few days recognized by saying hunger in Gaza is real. And I think that is a very short but important message to describe the situation. The other question is the political future of Gaza and its governance and its territorial extent. And that is, of course, a more complicated problem to solve. But I would hope that one thing is tying into another, and that the movement, the momentum that we're watching with news media in the United States in the last week, at least in my impression, have been constantly, several times a day and almost every day, focusing with segments on the humanitarian crisis in Gaza that I had not seen before in that degree of crudeness, with photographs, with videos showing that have made others and different countries react in a more vocal way, and I think that is going to be influence the other issue of governance and particularly political aspects of the crisis, of the situation.
Okay. We have the gentleman. Okay, yeah, same question. Okay, and then gentleman next to the over here. You had a question as well, or no? Over here in the front, then yes. Correct.
Yes. Sorry. Go ahead. Apologize. Linda Vasulo with NPR at the UN. Welcome, Ambassador.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding Iran and the IAEA, and if it's your sense that perhaps the Security Council will be addressing Iran's refusal to cooperate with the IAEA, and if there's been any early indication or gut reaction that one of the JCPOA members might ask for a snapback of sanctions.
Yes, I have no doubt that those problems or those issues will be coming up. I don't have any indication, official indication as yet, that anyone, any member will be asking for the snapback provisions to come back into action. But I have little doubt that it's a possibility. And of course, the situation with Iran not allowing for that supervision will also, I'm sure, be causing some discussion in the Council. Again, as everything that happens in the Council, it's a complicated situation, and one thing has led into another, and the bombings in Iran also complicate the issue and have been influential in the political position that Iran has adopted in that regard. So I do believe that because some members, of course, have talked about that will be another item that the Council will have to address during this month.
Okay. Thank you. We have you first, and then in the back we have 2, 3. Okay.
I have a
go
very
first, please. Thank you.
Yes, Ambassador Shidaji with China Central Television. I have a very quick question. Do you expect any outcomes of your signature, even the open debate of the maritime security? Will there be a statement? Will there be anything?
Yeah, that is also a good question, and one that we have been dealing with. Frankly, I am not sure. I'm not sure whether our ambition will go as far as trying to end with some sort of a product or a statement. The different members, not only in the Council but in the larger UN community, have different views. Our intention, as you may gather from the concept note, which is now public, was to try not to politicize the concept note in any specific way, because we do understand that in different parts of the world there are different viewpoints concerning maritime security, concerning navigation rights, concerning freedom of navigation, and the differences between those items. So at this point, of course, we would very much like to be able to come up with some sort of a product or a statement, but I'm not sure whether it is worth, because we don't want to get into any of those complications. I think the idea, aside from allowing us to put Panama in an interesting light, to be reflected to the world community, the intention is also to continue the debate, because we think it's a relevant one. And that's why one of our briefers is from IMO, and another one of our briefers is from Interpol, because I'm sure, although I can't control what he's going to present, to brief us on, but I'm pretty sure that it will be with problems related with the use of the maritime activity for transnational crime, because that is affecting everything all over the world, and it is also affecting violations of Security Council resolutions that may sanction or restrict the one thing or the other. So it's a good question, but I'm afraid that I can't answer right now, because we ourselves have not made a decision of how far we're going to try and find a statement.
Thank you so much, gentlemen in the back, and then we can go from the back forward. And then 2, 3. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you very much, Ambassador, and congratulations again on the presidency for the month of August. My name is Ahmed Ali with Sphinx News TV. With regards to the open debate on maritime security to be convened on the 11th of this month, to what extent will this high-level debate address the ongoing hostilities in the Red Sea, and what kind of progressive solutions does Panama look to provide regarding this highly contentious situation? Thank you.
Yes. Again, the concept note does not focus on any specific situation, but it would be naive to believe that those types of issues will not come up in the debate. We know what the differences are between the positions of various countries, not only in that specific case, but there are others. And in the case of the Red Sea, Panama has always been very much critical of anything that affects navigation, because we know what it would mean to have something like that happen in our part of the world, and particularly with reference to the Panama Canal. So, we cannot allow ourselves to have any position other than critical of things that attempt against freedom of navigation in those choke points. So I'm sure that is going to come up, and there are other instances, of course, in other parts of the world in which there are conflicting points of view, and I'm sure that will also come up in the debate.
Okay, thank you so much. We have the two ladies in the back, right to left, please. Thank you. Yes, you can go first. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. My name is Zahra Hojabri from Iran, Islamic Republic News Agency. Considering the recent decision by some European countries to recognize the state of Palestine, what is your assessment of this action? Do you view it as a practical step or merely a symbolic gesture? And also, does your country have any plans to recognize the state of Palestine?
Yeah, I would say that, and again, that question has forces me to speak under two different hats. In terms of the Security Council hat, I don't think that the development of circumstances in the last few weeks, and in particular, there was a question asked before concerning the conference, to which directly you're also relating, and the situation in which several countries have, in the context of that conference time frame, announced their intention to recognize the state of Palestine. I don't believe that those gestures are merely symbolic. In my personal opinion, I think they will have, and they are having, an effect on the general issue. Using my national hat, Panama has not recognized directly the state of Palestine. And again, I cannot venture an opinion as to what will be happening there. But it is an important issue, and it makes it becomes even more important considering that we're now sitting, presiding the Security Council. So it's an excellent question, and I'm sure one in which our government will be debating within.
Thank you so much. And then to the left, and then after that, Al Jazeera, please. First, you, and then Al Jazeera.
Congratulations on your presidency of the Security Council, and thank you for this briefing. I follow Edie's sentiments that we hope to see more of you in this press briefing room, time permitting. My name is Sarah Brittany Somerset. I'm a reporter for Cannabis and Tech Today and Global Cannabis Times. And as you know, medical cannabis was passed unanimously by your National Assembly in 2021. And I just wanted to ask in general how that's affected Panama overall, and if you considered legalizing full adult use.
Legalizing cannabis. Okay. Yeah, well, again, a good question. When I walk, I know New York well from way back because I went to school here for many years. I would prefer not to say how long ago that was because I think it's obvious. But I lived in New York during the period of my fellow hippies. I was not a hippie myself, or I didn't consider myself to be a hippie, but I lived in New York during that time. So consumption, no. And I have suffered with a situation in which Panama has been pointed to and blamed for cannabis, particularly, and for being a country that produced, because otherwise we're not a drug-producing country. Our problem is to be geographically located between production and consumption, and therefore a country that is subject to transit of particularly cocaine and cannabis, otherwise known in our local jargon as marijuana. In that case, Panama was a producing country, not to a large degree, but we did produce, as a matter of fact, allegedly very good product. And they even had a name for it. I can't say because I wasn't a consumer myself, so I could not be, I never learned to smoke, even anything, cigarettes. And now that we know the effects of what cigarettes do, I'm glad that I didn't learn. But when I walk the streets of New York now, after having suffered Panama being persecuted because of allegedly first a drug producing country in the case of cannabis, and in a country of transit of drugs between the producers and the case of some countries to the south of us and the consumption countries north of us. I'm unsurprised at the way in which it became a multi-billion-dollar business, and you can walk into stores, some of them becoming more and more luxurious in several places in New York, from Broadway and others that all of you are probably aware of. I haven't dared to walk into any of them. Because there's no need, but it does surprise me the way that has changed from a situation that was persecuted and to a situation in which it has become an important business. Whatever Panama does in the future is going to have to be approved by the National Assembly of Panama. So I'm sure that it would be a political debate. Panama is a relatively conservative country. It is a religious country, one in which, fortunately, many religions live together side by side without any discrimination or without any problems arising from the fact that there are citizens and residents of different religions. Freedom of religion is protected by the Constitution, so that. But anyway, it would have to be a political debate in the country and eventually in the National Assembly for a decision to be made. I cannot procrastinate. I'm sorry. I cannot speculate as to exactly what would be happening. I haven't seen lately any intention of or any movement that would suggest that there would be a law to legalize it. Yeah.
Okay, Al Jazeera, and after this we will have to be moving because the ambassador has a very tight agenda. So Al Jazeera, and then we can close.
Okay, thank you, Gabriel Elizondo from Al Jazeera English. I'll make it as quick as I can so you can get on with the rest of your day. Two questions. One, a follow-up to the recognition of a Palestinian state, and another one about migration. On the Palestinian state, I mean, Panama is very isolated when it comes to the question of recognizing the state of Palestine. Panama is the only country in Latin America that does not. So I'm trying to get a better sense of, is President Molino at all considering it, or is it pretty much off the table? I recognize that Panama has very long historical ties with the State of Israel. I'm just trying to get a sense of if it is even being discussed in your capital. And the second question on migration, I'm a little surprised that, well, given that Panama has one of the biggest routes for migration in the world, as you well know, I was a little struck that nothing was on the council agenda on migration. Is that because in the last few months migration has dipped to almost zero through the Darien Gap? And was that part of the thinking on why not bringing migration higher on the agenda this month? Thank you.
Two excellent questions. The first one you have basically answered for me or analyzed for me, and I thank you for doing it. Because I think it is helpful in describing appropriately the situation of Panama on that issue. I think that when you say that Panama is becoming completely more and more isolated because of all the other countries in the region have recognized the state of Palestine, and because of some of the comments that were made before as to countries that have announced that they would be doing so in the context of the recent conference, that isolation evidently increases. I'm afraid that I cannot give you a sense of what the president is thinking or whether anything has been ruled in or ruled out, because it would be really speculation. But I'm sure that Panama is not shielded against the pressure that would be resulting from the rapid development of the situation in that regard in the rest of the world. We do have a very long-lasting relationship with Israel, and part of it is because we have a very large, influential, actually, I am going to correct myself. Several large and very influential and active Jewish communities in Panama. And I used to make the mistake myself to refer to a Jewish community. And leaders of those communities have explained to me and very clearly that there's not one, that there are many. And they're all have similarities but differences. And some of the differences depend on when they came to Panama, that particular group, where they came from, because some came from the Caribbean, and before that from Portugal and Spain, and others have come from other countries in the Middle East, etc. So I prefer not to complicate myself with a prediction, because it really would not be accurate. I don't have enough information of what would be happening. Yeah, the migration question, another very good question. Again, the same way that Panama is not a drug consuming country, it just happens to be in the middle of the flow. With immigration, it's the same thing. We're not a country that attracts immigration. The immigration that flows through Panama is immigration that wants to go elsewhere. And mostly we know where that elsewhere is. Fortunately, when President Molino came into office, which was only a year ago because it was in July, I came here at the end of August, so it's been a year. He's been basically a little over a year in office. And one of his objectives was to try and reduce that traffic of migrants through Panama. For a number of reasons, there was a problem. Everybody could predict that it would be a larger political problem because of the effect it has on other countries. And he did make a very serious effort to reduce that flow. So exactly in the last few months, that effort has been successful, partly because of local efforts of the government of Panama, and partly because of the effect of the policies of other countries that were immigration destinations that, of course, have an effect on reducing the incentive of migrants to use the Panamanian route. the Darien gap problem is very concerning to Panama for a number of reasons, not only because of the immigration issue itself, but also because it has other detrimental effects. The treatment of migrants, the human rights of migrants, the environmental prejudice to the jungle, etc. So we're very glad that that has been reduced, and all of those are reasons why we didn't decide to make that concept part of our high-level events.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, so much for your insightful and very interesting questions. I would also like to take the opportunity to inform you that Juan O'Callaghan over here, our spokesperson, and Fernando Gomez from our mission will keep you updated through a distribution email list. Seeing that there are no further questions, we would like to sincerely thank you for your time and interest. And we deeply value the essential role that the press plays in shedding light on the work of the Security Council and bringing these important discussions closer to the public. Your commitment to informing global audiences helps strengthen transparency and accountability within the United Nations, and we look forward to staying in touch throughout the month with all of you. This concludes today's session. Thank you so much.
And even though the session is concluded, because of my background with journalists, whom I know and like very much, I will be very pleased to be more in touch with you, as somebody said. I'm not sure that I understood the more part, but I will be very pleased to be in touch with you in the future.